Hello everyone, welcome to our channel, Comments and Responses TJ. I hope all of you are doing well. In this video, we will analyze and respond to the questions from this week's Watchtower study. This study corresponds to the week of January 6th to 12th and is titled, How to React to Injustices. Without further ado, let's begin. Let's look at questions 1 and 2. What injustices might we face? The injustices we might face include prejudice, inequality, and oppression, as noted in Ecclesiastes 5:8. Additionally, we might experience unfair treatment from our brothers due to their imperfection, even if it's not intentional. Furthermore, like Jesus, we may encounter injustices from wicked enemies, as his example shows in patiently enduring hardships. Additional comments. Jehovah carefully observes the actions of everyone and does not tolerate injustice, as highlighted by the teachings on the unjust judge. This gives us confidence that, even when others mistreat us, Jehovah is aware of our situation and deeply cares for us. Jesus gave us a model of endurance in the face of injustice, showing that we should respond with patience and faith, trusting that Jehovah will bring justice at the appropriate time. This approach strengthens our relationship with Him and fosters unity among our brothers. Let's look at question 3. How do we know that Jehovah cares about how we are treated? We know Jehovah cares about how we are treated because Jehovah loves justice. Jesus assured us that God will bring justice swiftly to His servants when the time is right. Jehovah promises to eliminate all suffering and injustices definitively. Additional comments. Psalm 37:28 affirms that Jehovah loves justice and never abandons His loyal servants. Even though we face injustices, we can trust that Jehovah will not allow them to persist indefinitely. Instead, He will act in favor of those who love Him. In Luke 18:7-8, Jesus said that Jehovah will bring justice quickly to His chosen servants. This reminds us that, even if justice seems delayed, Jehovah acts at the perfect time to ensure that suffering and injustice do not have the final word. Let's look at question 4. How does Jehovah help us? Jehovah helps us by teaching us how to respond to injustices while we wait for the time when justice will reign. He shows us how to avoid making matters worse, provides the perfect example through His Son, and offers practical advice in the Bible to deal with unfair treatment. Additional comments. 2 Peter 3:13 reminds us that Jehovah has promised a new heaven and new earth where righteousness will dwell. This gives us hope and strength to endure current injustices, knowing that they will not be permanent. The example of Jesus, mentioned in the Bible, is fundamental. By following His model, we can react with patience and faith to unfair treatment, trusting that Jehovah will guide and support us in all circumstances. First subtitle: Be careful how we react. Let's look at question 5. Why should we be careful about how we react to injustice? We should be careful about how we react to injustice because it's normal to feel hurt and distressed, as happened to faithful servants like Job and Habakkuk. However, these feelings can lead us to act imprudently if not controlled. Additional comments. Ecclesiastes 7:7 highlights that oppression can cause someone to lose control, underscoring the importance of staying calm to avoid reactions that stray from Jehovah's principles. Job's example in Job 6:2-3 teaches us that, although we may feel great anguish, it's essential to trust in Jehovah and not let our emotions lead us to actions that might worsen the situation. Let's look at question 6. What does Absalom's example teach us? Absalom's example teaches us that, while anger at injustice can be understandable, we should not take justice into our own hands, as this can make things worse. Absalom was deeply angered upon learning about the violation of his sister Tamar, but by acting on his own rather than trusting in Jehovah and his law, he caused more problems. Additional comments. Leviticus 20:17 shows that there was a clear standard in the Mosaic law to punish immoral acts, reminding us that justice must come from Jehovah, not from our emotions or decisions. According to 2 Samuel 13:20-23, 28-29, Absalom's reaction led to greater conflicts and bloodshed. This emphasizes that impulsive actions in the face of injustice can cause more harm than good, pulling us away from divine principles. Let's look at question 7. What was a psalmist's initial reaction to injustices? The psalmist's initial reaction to injustices was anguish and frustration upon seeing the wicked seemingly prosper without consequences. In Psalm 73:12, he expressed that everything seemed easy for them, which almost led him to lose sight of the value of serving Jehovah and affirmed that trying to understand it was deeply distressing. Additional comments. Psalm 73:12 reminds us that the prosperity of the wicked can be deceiving. Although it may appear that they have an easy life, the psalmist eventually understood that their paths do not lead to true happiness or Jehovah's blessing. The psalmist's statement in Psalm 73:2 shows us that, even when we face doubts and weakness regarding injustices, we must strive to maintain our faith in Jehovah, who will bring perfect justice in His time. Let's look at question 8. How did one brother react when he suffered an injustice? When Alberto was falsely accused of stealing congregation funds, he lost his position as an elder and the respect of some brothers. This led him to feel bitter, angry, and frustrated, allowing emotional pain to distance him from Jehovah. He was inactive for 5 years, showing the negative effects of not controlling our emotions when faced with injustice. Additional comments. Alberto's experience reminds us that emotions like bitterness and frustration, if unchecked, can weaken us spiritually and pull us away from Jehovah. It's essential to rely on Him to overcome injustices. Like Alberto, we must not let the unfair treatment of others cause us to lose our relationship with Jehovah. Staying calm and trusting that He sees and will resolve injustices in due time helps us persevere. Second subtitle, Imitate Jesus. Let's look at question 9. What injustices did Jesus endure? Jesus endured many injustices without seeking revenge. His own family claimed he was insane and didn't believe he was the Messiah. Religious leaders accused him of working with demons and sought ways to unjustly condemn him. Finally, Roman soldiers mocked, beat, and crucified him. Despite all this, Jesus remained faithful and did not retaliate. Additional comments. Mark 3:21-22 shows that Jesus faced misunderstanding even from his own family, highlighting his strength and love in continuing his mission, fully trusting in Jehovah. According to Mark 15:16-20, soldiers cruelly mocked and physically abused Jesus, yet he did not let hatred distract him from fulfilling Jehovah's will. His example teaches us to respond with dignity and faith to injustices. Let's look at question 10. How did Jesus react to injustices? 1 Peter 2:21-23. Jesus reacted to injustices with calm and trust in Jehovah. According to 1 Peter 2:21-23, he did not retaliate with insults or threats when he suffered. He knew when to speak and when to remain silent, trusting fully in Jehovah, the one who judges with justice. His confidence in Jehovah allowed him to face lies and mistreatment without losing control, knowing that Jehovah would correct injustices at the right time. Additional comments. 1 Peter 2:23 emphasizes that Jesus did not respond aggressively to injustices but trusted in Jehovah. This teaches us that reacting calmly and with faith is key to maintaining our integrity. In Matthew 11:19, Jesus chose not to defend himself against lies, demonstrating that it's not always necessary to respond to every attack. His example invites us to trust that Jehovah sees everything and will bring justice in due time. Let's look at question 11. What might controlling what we say involve? Controlling what we say can involve different things depending on the situation. If the injustice is not severe, we may choose to let it go or remain silent to avoid making matters worse. However, if it is necessary to defend the truth or help someone suffering from injustice, we should speak with respect and mildness. Additional comments. Ecclesiastes 3:7 reminds us that there is a time to be silent and a time to speak, emphasizing the importance of choosing our words carefully based on the situation to maintain peace and avoid unnecessary conflict. 1 Peter 3:15 encourages us to speak with mildness and respect, even when defending the truth. This approach demonstrates wisdom and self-control, following Jesus' example of responding in a balanced and just manner. Let's look at question 12. How can we place ourselves in the hands of the one who judges justly? We can do so by fully trusting that Jehovah knows the truth about us and the injustices we face. This trust allows us to endure patiently, knowing that Jehovah will resolve situations at the right time. Letting him take care of matters protects us from emotions such as anger or resentment, which could harm our relationship with him. Additional comments. Psalm 37:8 advises us to abandon anger and not let rage control us, as these emotions can lead us to act inappropriately. Trusting in Jehovah helps us remain calm and balanced. By trusting in Jehovah's just judgment, we follow Jesus' example of enduring injustices without seeking revenge. This approach frees us from emotional burdens and allows us to maintain our inner peace and spiritual joy. Let's look at question 13. What can help us endure injustices? To endure injustices, we should remember that Jehovah understands what we are going through and that Jesus, who suffered injustices, completely understands our feelings. Although we cannot perfectly imitate Jesus, Jehovah guides us through His Word with helpful advice for handling difficulties and gives us the strength to persevere, even when injustices leave emotional scars. Additional comments. Hebrews 4:15-16 assures us that Jesus, having faced injustices and temptations, understands our struggles and can provide us with help and compassion at the right time, strengthening our faith to endure. James 3:2 reminds us that we all stumble at times, but Jehovah's guidance helps us correct our mistakes and continue with patience, learning to overcome injustices with dignity. Fourth subtitle, Make Room for Wrath. Let's look at question 14. What does the expression, make room for wrath, mean? Romans 12:19. The expression, make room for wrath, in Romans 12:19 refers to Jehovah's wrath. It means allowing Him to bring justice at the time and in the way He deems best, rather than trying to resolve matters ourselves. This counsel helps us be patient and trust that Jehovah will act according to His perfect justice. Additional comments. Romans 12:19 teaches us that trusting in Jehovah and not seeking revenge is a demonstration of faith in His justice. Leaving judgment in His hands protects us from acting rashly or inappropriately. This verse reminds us that, even though it may be difficult to control our emotions, Jehovah knows when and how to intervene. By making room for His wrath, we show complete trust in His wisdom and love. Let's look at question 15. Why is it better to wait for Jehovah to act? It is better to wait for Jehovah to act because it spares us the stress and frustration of trying to resolve the problem ourselves. Jehovah promises to handle injustices in the best way possible and encourages us to trust Him, which also helps us let go of anger. This trust in His perfect justice and solution gives us peace and tranquility. Additional comments. Trusting Jehovah to act, as He promises to bring justice, protects us from making impulsive mistakes and allows us to stay calm while waiting for His intervention. By leaving injustices in Jehovah's hands, we show faith that His solution will always be superior to any action we might take, giving us inner peace and strengthening our relationship with Him. Fifth subtitle, Keep Conquering Evil with Good. Let's look at questions 16 and 17. How does prayer help us to keep conquering evil with good? Romans 12:21. Prayer helps us keep conquering evil with good because, as Paul taught in Romans 12:21, it allows us to respond with kindness instead of being overcome by hatred. Jesus Himself set the example by praying for those who mistreated Him. Praying for those who harm us can change our perspective, calm our anger and resentment, and maintain an attitude that pleases Jehovah. Additional comments. Romans 12:21 encourages us to respond to evil with good, which protects us from being consumed by hatred or vengeance. Prayer is a powerful tool to maintain this attitude and strengthen our relationship with Jehovah. Jesus' example in Luke 23:34 shows us that even in extreme suffering, praying for others can help us let go of negative emotions and continue to imitate the love and compassion of our Heavenly Father. Let's look at question 18. How did prayer help Alberto and John? Prayer helped Alberto and John overcome the injustices they suffered. Alberto prayed repeatedly to Jehovah for the brothers who had mistreated him and asked for help to move past the incident, which enabled him to return to his faithful service. John also prayed many times for the brother who had wronged him, which helped him change his perspective, avoid judging him, and find peace of mind. Additional comments. Alberto's experience demonstrates that praying sincerely to Jehovah for those who treat us unfairly can help us heal emotionally and refocus on our relationship with Him. John, by following Jesus' counsel to pray for those who mistreat us, overcame negative emotions and maintained peace, showcasing the power of prayer to transform our attitude. Let's look at question 19. What should we do while this system lasts? 1 Peter 3:8-9. While this system lasts, we should constantly ask Jehovah for help in facing injustices and strive to imitate Jesus' reaction to them. We should also continue applying Bible principles, as mentioned in 1 Peter 3:8-9, where we are encouraged to be compassionate, humble, and not to return evil for evil. If we do this, we can trust that Jehovah will bless us. Additional comments. 1 Peter 3:8 reminds us to have unity of thought and to be compassionate and humble, qualities that help us maintain inner peace even when facing injustices. According to 1 Peter 3:9, by not returning evil for evil, we demonstrate trust in Jehovah to bring justice and remain worthy of His blessings and guidance. Review questions. What would you answer? Question 1. How can we imitate Jesus when we suffer an injustice? We can imitate Jesus by not responding with insults or threats, but by trusting in Jehovah, the one who judges with justice. Also, like Jesus, we can decide when to speak and when to remain silent, staying calm and acting respectfully even in difficult situations. Question 2. What does it mean to make room for wrath? To make room for wrath, as mentioned in Romans 12:19, means leaving justice to Jehovah, trusting that He will intervene at the right time and in the right way. Instead of trying to resolve injustices ourselves, we allow Jehovah to take control and avoid letting our emotions lead us to act improperly. Question 3. How can prayer help us overcome injustices? Prayer helps us overcome injustices by allowing us to express our feelings to Jehovah and ask Him for calmness and wisdom to respond appropriately. As Jesus taught in Matthew 5:44, praying for those who mistreat us can reduce anger and resentment, helping us maintain peace of mind and strengthen our trust in Jehovah. Well, these have been the answers from this week's Watchtower study. I hope they are very helpful, my dear brothers and sisters. We'll see each other next week with a new video. Sending you all a big hug, and may Jehovah always bless and protect you.